With that, I think we can begin the meeting. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Russell, president of this club, Golden Speakers Toastmasters. It is October 13th, no, sorry, October 20th at 7:45 p.m. for our regular Tuesday meeting. Our club mission, as always, is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which our members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for our mission, everyone. I see that we do have a guest tonight. John, would you care to introduce yourself and tell us what brought you out here tonight?
Sure. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate it. My name is John Woodward, and I'm from Washington, Iowa. And this is my first time ever stepping onto a Toastmasters call or Zoom call or meeting or anything of any kind. Obviously, I've heard plenty of things about it. I was invited tonight by Bob Fogel, and we actually go to the same church together. And he's always so friendly and kind at the door. And we were just chatting one day, and we're just kind of sharing a little bit about what we do and for work and whatnot. And he invited me to come out, and just happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, we're happy to have you. Well, thank you very much for coming out tonight. And
yes,
we'll
accept my invitation.
Yeah, we'll look forward to hearing what you thought about the meeting at the end. So we appreciate you coming out tonight. And with that, I'd like to get the meeting started proper. And so to do that, I will pass it off to our Toastmaster for tonight, Jean Symington Craig. Take it away, Jean.
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow Toastmasters. Tonight, our theme is balance. We will have questions for our impromptu section from our Table Topics Master for the evening, Aaron Russell. But just to keep that in mind, that's what we'll be doing. My first job as the Toastmaster is to introduce the role players for the evening. With that, I'd like to introduce our timer and thank Aaron again for stepping in here as our timer. Aaron, would you please describe what you'll be doing this evening?
Of course. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests and viewers at home, as your timer for tonight, I will be timing the different aspects of our meeting. We have a prepared speech for tonight from Art Atkinson. The speech is 5 to 7 minutes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that, I will have the green background on at 5 minutes, the yellow background at 6 minutes, and finally the red background at 7 minutes, at which point the speaker has another 30 seconds to finish up his speech before being disqualified. And we also have a speech evaluator, and that is 2 to 3 minutes. So I will give the green background at 2 minutes, the yellow at 2.5, and the red background at 3 minutes, at which point the speaker will have another 30 seconds. Table topics, or our impromptu speeches, these are 1 to 2 minute speeches, so I will give the green at 1, yellow at 1.5, the red at 2, and the speaker has another 30 seconds. And then depending on how many speeches we have, we will also have a table, or we will have a table topics evaluator, but depending on how many table topic speeches we get to, that will determine how much time they have. And then I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I will mention, John, just so that you know the little cultural idiosyncrasies of a Toastmaster meeting, and now we're on Zoom, so of course it's different, but there's a lot of clapping, and you can just follow the people that are clapping if you want to know, and it generally makes you feel better anyway, because it's fun to feel good. But
absolutely,
yeah, so that's what we do there. And all righty, our next role player is the grammarian, and that would be Dan Craig. Dan, would you please describe your role?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest. My role as grammarian is, first of all, to give you a word of the day. I put the word and the definition in the chat. I don't know if everybody got that. It's equilibrium, which is a noun. It means a state in which opposing forces or influences are balanced. It can also mean a state of physical balance, or it can mean a calm state of mind. One example sentence is, I stumbled over a rock, but was able to recover my equilibrium. So any time that you can slip that in your speaking roles tonight, that's always fun to see who can use the word of the day most often. I'll keep track and tell us at the end. The other thing I do as grammarian is listen for good usage of language, or perhaps language that might need to be corrected. I'll listen for phrases that catch my fancy, that I think are colorful, interesting. But also, if I hear anybody using grammar incorrectly or something of that sort, I may bring that to everyone's attention in my report at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. John, just a quick heads up. We evaluate just about everything that we do because that's how we get better. It's all personal opinion, that's how we help each other. And we also time everything because it's not just what you're saying, but are you saying it within the time that is allotted? So we get efficient that way. And that's why everything is set up like this. Our next role player is our counter, Bob Fogel.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our many TV viewers that are out there. This evening's odd counter, what my purpose is as the odd counter is take notes of words, sounds, such as uses crutches, pause fillers, wells, buts, you knows, things of that nature, filler words. And of course, double taps where you say it twice. Like, I mean, and at the end of the meeting, I will give my report to each and every one of them. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Right, very good. So are we trying to do Oz or not do Oz?
Do not do Oz.
Okay, yeah, so the low count wins, right?
Yeah. I should have specified that a little better.
Yeah, so, no, it's sometimes it's like, oh, okay.
And I think in some clubs they actually have the person with the most is called the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's good.
Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't. Okay. We will also be hearing from our general evaluator who has kindly stepped in for this role. That will be Bob. Later on, he will be evaluating our evaluators, which is an abstract but advanced skill, but very important. A quick hi to Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda. Yay, Rhonda, former member and former president. Yay. Okay, let's see now. Let me dig out my, who am I? Okay, Joke Master. So I've got all these different things open. Our Joke Master is also going to be Bob Fogel. So we have Bob. I hope, we're giving him more, but that's all good. Okay. And we will hear from him also later in the meeting. All right, now as Toastmaster, we're going to start our prepared speech section of the evening. Art Atkinson is going to be our speaker. His evaluator is going to be Carmen Antacona. Carmen, would you please read the objectives on how you'll be evaluating Art?
Hello, Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. Art is taking the Pathway Co-Presentation Mastery Level 2 Project 1, Effective Body Language, And the purpose of this project is to deliver a speech with awareness of your intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, practice, and refine how you use nonverbal communication when delivering a speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmasters.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmen. This is Art's second speech in the level 2 of the presentation mastery. Arthur Arnold Atkinson III has been a member of Golden Speakers since 2006 and a resident of Fairfield since 1986. He joined Toastmasters originally with the goal of becoming more effective in persuading people to agree with his political ideas. His goals now involve much less persuading people and much more understanding their ideas. His title for tonight, the project is about, is gestures. And what was the title? What was the title of the project itself, Carmen? Did you say that?
It is effective body language.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm just a little trying to find my pieces here. Okay. The title of his speech for this project is called Moving with Intention When Intention Doesn't Move. Please help me warmly welcome Art Atkinson.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. So that I know the skill level of the group that I'm speaking to, could I see a show of hands if you learned how to swim? Do you know how to swim? Thank you. Second question, do you know how to ride a bicycle? Those hands. How about jumping rope? Did you ever learn to jump rope? How about walking and running? Whether you remember it or not, you learned each of these very complex physical skills by virtue of a very delightful, marvelous integration of intention, neurochemistry, and musculature. If you've ever watched an infant learning to control his or her limbs, you've seen the process of this integration developing before your eyes. What begins as random jerky movements of hands and feet becomes over time smooth, voluntary motion that allows the infant to crawl and then to stand and walk and then run and play and jump rope and swim and do these sophisticated activities. And with repetition, habits develop so that focused, concentrated, focused, voluntary attention is not required to carry out the action. They happen on autopilot. For example, how many in the room paid any conscious attention to the mechanics of putting their hand in the air when you raised your hand? Or did you just have the intention and the hand went up? Everyone in the room probably just had the hand go up, except for me. I live with a very deeply impaired break in the integration of intention with voluntary motion. my Parkinson's disorder affects primarily voluntary action, voluntary movements, intentional movement. Habitual movements are less impacted. Reflexes even less impacted. Unfortunately, autonomic functions like breathing and heartbeat are not affected at all. This is actually a rather ironic project for me to be doing. I'm dealing with the ability to make a motion at all. Talk about effective body language. That translates into voluntary, intentional activity designed to convey or help convey my ideas to the audience. I'm usually speaking in these meetings from an immobilized position. I'm wearing a harness designed to keep people sitting upright in a wheelchair in order that I don't fall out of this chair because of my very deeply impaired sense of balance. My ideas, my abilities at vocal variety range from slow to slower, soft to softer. And a monotonous delivery tone is one of the most frequent things that my evaluators report, that I just had the same pitch the whole time. Facial expressions, almost non-existent. A deadpan face is actually a classic diagnostic feature of Parkinson's. So what are the strategies that I've developed, the discoveries that I've made about what to do to get some personal growth out of this situation? Well, the first one will probably amuse you. If I can't get my hands or feet to move, I can yell or growl at them. That somehow releases a kind of an energy that often allows me to move the recalcitrant limbs. Exercise. About once an hour, I have to move the body. Even if I'm engaged in work, sitting at my desk in this harness, I got to get up and move around. I bought a recumbent 3-wheel tricycle that I ride. I can't fall off of it. I can fall off a bike easily. I have a tricycle that I ride every day if possible. And I've discovered ping pong as therapy for Parkinson's. It draws on almost reflexive motion, hand going into the air, hand-eye coordination. I play with right hand and left hand, changing the paddle from one hand to the other to exercise different sides of the brain. Ping pong is wonderful. I've discovered 2 other principles. One I call move big, which if I have my hands resting on the keyboard and they haven't moved for a while and I can't move them, I can do this and get the connection between mind and body reestablished briefly so that I can go touch the keys that I need. And I have another principle I've discovered that I call move opposite. If my hands have been resting quietly in my lap for a while and I can't move them to maybe scratch my scalp, I can let the hands drop to the floor opposite where I want them to go. And that reestablishes the connection and I can reach up and scratch my scalp. This is a bigger principle than life. It's called going around an obstacle or over an obstacle or under an obstacle if you can't go through the obstacle. With that, I find that there's opportunities for growth and an opportunity that I hang on to every day to reverse this disorder and get rid of it totally. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Extra round of applause for Art. really kudos to meeting this challenge of this project and always giving us your very articulate insights into life for you. Now we will take 2 minutes. Mr. Timer, if you would time us for 2 minutes. And we're going to give Art some private feedback. So if you look over in your chat and towards the bottom, there is the arrow going down. It's the default is for everyone. And so what you want to do is select Art out of that list. So you're going to send a private note to Art and just give him your feedback on what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, like that. Okay, now you could start his timing. Okay, good. Now what I have seen in other clubs is we can let our evaluator, Carmen, spend a little more time working on her evaluation and move over to table topics. Would that be a preference for you, Carmen, or what would you like?
Yeah, I prefer to do it later.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, then we will move into the impromptu mental exercise portion of the evening. And by the way, John, you are invited to participate. Maybe you could watch a couple people if you want, just to get the hang of it. But we'll go ahead and let our table topics master for the evening, Aaron Russell, take over this section.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. As was mentioned earlier, the theme for tonight is balance. And I'd like to, as it relates to my topics for tonight, I'd like to read the quote that we have at the top of our meeting agenda. It's by Euripides. It says, "The best and safest thing is to keep a balance in your life, acknowledge the great powers around us and in us. If you can do that and live that way, you are really a wise person." And I mention this because I believe one of the biggest ways that we can lead a happy, fulfilling life is by achieving balance, trying to achieve equilibrium and making sure the pendulum doesn't necessarily sway too far one way or another. And so I have questions tonight that all relate to how well we each feel that we have balance in different aspects of our life. And so I will provide an aspect of life and ask whether you feel that you have balance here, and if so, why? Or if not, what are maybe some things that you can do to help achieve a better balance? Who would like to start with that? Not all at once. Bob, are you able to go?
Yes, I am. I was just trying to find my unmute button.
Sure you are.
Okay.
Bob, so eating healthy while also enjoying the food that we eat, right? So how do you achieve balance between being able to eat in a healthy way while also enjoying the food that you eat? Because as we know, a lot of the healthiest things for us are, frankly, not the most appetizing most of the time.
Thank you for that question on how do I make a good balance of eating food that I like or food that's good for me versus not. That's a relative question to me, as I try to make the equilibrium decision of not to go to one side or the other. Problem being, Well, I should start off this way. One of my fellow friends, Art, has helped me to start on a protein Herbalife thing, which is wonderful. And I've dropped probably about 10 pounds. And so between the shakes, I usually bring some veggies, you know, like dried broccoli, carrots, things of that nature. So how I compensate is I'll have a yummy shake with some fruit, and then I'll eat the lunch, if you call it lunch, just kind of grazing out of my lunch bag. And then I might throw a cheese stick in or something like that. And then the evening, what I have found is I love fish. So, and I'm good on the smoker. So what helps me with that part of it, there's a wasp on my, right here. Hang on.
Jeez.
Okay. Anyways, lost my train of thought. But to mix it all up, what I'll do is I'll make some little peanut butter and chocolate, whey chocolate protein things. Then I freeze them. I put them in my freezer. So they're nice. So I can just kind of munch those in my evening when I'm having a chocolate fix. Because I don't know anybody that doesn't have a chocolate fix.
Mm.
And so that satisfies that for me. But sometimes when I'm out with the guys, we like to go out to eat, and that pizza's calling my name. And if it is, what I found is if I just pull the cheese and the meat off and eat that and throw the bread for the birds, that seems to help. It kind of satisfies that pizza urge. The worst part is when I'm with my family and they're all just eating everything and anything and having a good old time. That's the biggest challenge. And I don't always do it right. So, and I'm not looking forward to Halloween because I know I'll probably eat too much chocolate again. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for starting us off, Bob.
But
Who would like to go next? Rhonda.
Hi, Miss Fellow Toastmaster. Good evening.
Good evening to you. Thank you very much for volunteering. How well do you feel you balance finding ways to be productive while also finding time to unwind and relax without getting too far one way or another, right? Does that make sense?
Thank you. I find that since I live with family, it's sometimes easier to balance what I do that's productive with taking time for myself, leisure time, because we have to collaborate and negotiate things that need to be done around the house. And I know what my chores are, and I know what I'm expected to do, and I do it. I feed the dogs, and I take care of the dogs, and I clean the kitchen and vacuum the floors and things like that. There's not usually a very rigid schedule, but there are things that have to be done every day. So what I do is get those done, and then I take time for myself. I either take a nap, or I go for a walk, and I buy a smoothie, and then I come home. Back to the home battleground. It's sort of a battleground at times with 4 dogs and 2 other people. So between taking care of myself and other things, I find that I really cherish those moments when I can take the yoga mat out, get down on the floor and stretch, do some Tibetan 5 rights things to strengthen my muscles, and also have some time for meditation. The meditation is really great because I can bliss out and go into oneness and in another wonderful place of being, as opposed to cleaning up the yard or washing the dishes. So this has been a good experience for me to live with family, because it's given me new boundaries and new guidelines, and I get immediate feedback. So I am accountable now, whereas before living alone, accountability was a random thing. Only the priority things that were absolutely necessary got done, and it was on my terms. So I think that's probably enough time. I'm not timing myself, but maybe someone else can tell me when my time is up.
You're good.
Okay, thank you.
You see the red back, Aaron is our timer. So just everybody knows.
Yeah.
So instead of having timing lights, we've got this green, yellow, and red background that you can you, if you're in gallery mode in your Zoom.
Do you see my backgrounds, Rhonda?
When you talk, I see your background.
Oh, so you're not in gallery view then?
Well, I'll see if I can get gallery view.
Yeah,
There,
the upper right.
I'm on gallery view now.
Okay, so just that's where we're seeing the time by our timer. Okay.
Yeah, but you were in time, so you were actually you actually stopped at a pretty good time. So
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
Your muscle memory kicked in, I guess.
Mhm.
Wait, thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Who would like to go next?
I can go next. I'll give it a shot.
Right.
All right, John. Thank you very much for volunteering. John, how well do you feel that you currently have a work-life balance?
How did I know this was going to be the question that would be asked? Okay. So a few years ago, I was working on a project with some individuals out on the East Coast, and they helped me with some things that really fundamentally changed how I looked at this thing of work-life balance. And it really comes down to what I was taught to be decisions by design. As opposed to just letting life happen, I would say that I would try to happen to life. And here's what I mean by that. Any decision that I'm going to make, there has to be four walls to that decision. So I would call this framing up the decision. So the first thing I would decide is, what is the decision? Of course, identifying what it is and why is it important. Second thing I would discover is, okay, who's making that decision, if that's me or if it involves me and my family, and who's impacted by that decision. So I'm discovering what is the decision and why is that important, and then who's making it, who's impacting it. And then third, I would look at it and say, what's the timing on this? Is this something I need to decide right now? Or is this something I have to do right now? Or is this something that can be moved farther down the road? And then finally, implementing into the how. How am I going to enact the decisions that I've made? And is that something I'm making together with my wife, with my family? Is that something I'm doing on my own? And so I've looked at that, at projects with works like that. I've also looked at when I come home to my family in that same vein. And in order to try to achieve that equilibrium that we're talking about tonight, I think it's really, really important that we look at our decisions almost on an individual basis, because I won't just end up accidentally having a work-life balance if I just let it happen to me. I have to happen to it. And I really go back to that mechanism, that tool, or that mindset, if you will, of framing up my decision. What's the decision? Why is it important? And then moving down to who's impacted by it. And then when does it have to be made? And then how am I actually going to carry it out? And I think I'm still working to try to achieve that, but it certainly is better than it was a couple of years ago, and it continues to get better. So thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Are you sure you've never been in Toastmasters before, John?
I am not in Toastmasters, but I am a corporate trainer for Cambridge, and I spent the last 8 years or so in the architecture and design industry. And before that, I was a school teacher, and I have a passion for communication, a passion for teaching, a passion for learning and empowering other people. And that's really my job on a day-to-day basis, is to train internal members at Cambridge, for which I was hearing that there are some people here that either have worked at Cambridge in the past or are part of the Toastmasters club there. And I'm just excited to be a part. And so that's what I do, and I enjoy it.
Well, it definitely shows. We appreciate you answering that question.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next?
Carmen.
Thank you, Carmen. Carmen, I'm going to ask you this question because I know you've given a speech on this in the past. How do you feel that you balance your money without maybe being overly spendy while also not being too cheap? Money balance.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. I balance my money in the way that I follow the Dave Ramsey rules. And I think you were talking about that speech, Aaron. And as what he says is that you don't buy things that you cannot buy. For example, if you want to buy a luxury car, but you are just making $2,000 per month, you cannot buy a brand new car. You have to buy a cheap, or maybe you can ride a bike. Not being in debt is really what you should do, because spending in credit cards is spending in money that you don't have. If you have to be cheap, you can do that one if you are going to achieve your goals. But if you just want to demonstrate that you have a lot of money when you don't have actually that money, it is just something that you're going to regret it somehow, because there are going to be emergencies in your life, things that happen at any time, and then for material things that usually when you buy it, they don't have the real value that you spend for that. Maybe your health, or maybe one of your children or your family can be really in danger if you don't have enough solvency to resolve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Carmen. 8:27, and timer shows 8:32, but I know Carmen has to give her evaluation. I think we have.
I think we're going to say time.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
And so now I get asked which speakers qualified, correct?
Right.
And I would tell that person that all of the speakers qualified. And as a reminder, the speakers were Bob, Rhonda, John, and Carmen. Please send a vote to our Toastmaster, Jean Symington Craig, for who we thought was the best table topic speaker. And just a note that speakers can also vote, and you can even vote for yourself if you want to.
Right. So just send me a private chat in the chat and put your name in there, or put the person that you're selecting in there, and then I'll be able to tally. And meanwhile, we can keep rolling here. I think what we'll do is we'll go to Carmen. Are you ready for your evaluation of Art?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, very good. All right. And I know we're popping around a little bit with general evaluator and all, but I'll just go ahead and introduce Carmen as Art's evaluator. and let you take it away, Carmen. And again, just mentioning that evaluations are always just personal opinions, but as we continue to work with Toastmasters, our ability to define and differentiate with terms and concepts in Toastmasters gets better and better. So with that, we'll go ahead and welcome Carmen.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. You did a great speech today. It was very powerful and very personal. You greet the audience. When you were speaking, your words were very clear to me. Your eye contact was perfect. The audience engagement since the very beginning of the speech, when you were asking us to raise our hands for a couple of questions, it was a great moment of audience engagement, and I really like it. Your comfort level was pretty good. You knew your topic. It was a very interesting content because it was a very personal experience that you take of the content, like your Parkinson's disease, and related to the effective body language that disease have in your body. I will consider, and it's a suggestions, that there was a part in the speech that when you did your hand movements when you were talking about a baby to crawl, and then you were talking a person or the same baby walking and then run, you could do also this, like something like this for walking. And then when it's running, like something like this for running. And I know that you have like these hand movements, they are not easy for you. I think they can be a little bit more clear to the audience that it's a little bit more audience engagement, but it's just a tiny thing, and it's my suggestions. You didn't use any notes. You were pretty confident of your speech. And there was a time that your tone of voice was so loud and even funny that you just forget about the hand movements because you are just laughing. Your vocabulary was really good. And I really liked your conclusion at the end because you were just describing how is your purpose of life, even though when you are just experiencing this disease. It was a great speech, Art. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen, for that evaluation. I think we ought to just move right into evaluating table topics. Let's see. All righty. And that would be me. Yeah. So let's warmly welcome Jean Symington Craig, our table topics master, our table topics evaluator. Thank you, Toastmaster. As I head up. So fellow Toastmasters and honored guests and viewers at home, I'm going to make a comment on our table topics master. First of all, the questions. I like that we did that last week and we evaluated the questions. Started out a little bit with too long and a little too chatty, I thought, but then he kind of got more succinct. Just pitched the question and let it go. Didn't try to converse per se with the person, just, you know, keep it tight. And so he improved. Bob got the question about enjoying food that he likes versus healthy food after we distilled the question. He had some funny humor in there about chocolate. Everybody's got chocolate issues or chocolate love. My suggestion to Bob would be to take a little more time at the front. We do have up to 30 seconds before you need to produce an opening, a body, and a conclusion. So use that, it's okay. And also, you were telling us some really good foods and shakes and veggies and peanut butter crackers and things like that. I would like to hear that you like those foods. I mean, they're obviously healthy, but the question was foods you like and foods that are healthy. So it could have been something just, you could have said, you know, and I wouldn't have thought I liked those things, but I'm really starting to get a taste for them. And something like that to build that in. Very cute. Rhonda had the question about productivity and time for herself, balancing those. The audio was a little bit challenging, Rhonda. I don't know, you know, your connection maybe was a little off, but she had a good description of that she likes to get things done first that are on her list, and then she gets to take time for herself. And that was really good. It was great. It's great to see Rhonda. I love seeing Rhonda. Rhonda's a past president and enthusiastic member in our history. The conclusion, she said, living with family is making her more accountable. That idea could have been a little more brought out in the main body, but I could see why it would make her more accountable. And I would just say for Rhonda, just again, we're all getting used to Zoom, but to start thinking about how could I use my Rhonda hands and, you know, my Rhonda face a little bit in my little square to, you know, emphasize, because I know Rhonda has gestures and, but anyway, we're just all kind of working with all of that. I possibly could have done something about, you know, the chores, you know, I'm going to sweep and then I'm going to, you know, wash the dishes or something where you could use hands a little bit. John had the work-life balance question, humor right out of the gate. You know, he knew he was going to get that question, so that was fun. He went right into a theme of decision by design. And he had one of those 4 squares of, you know, process, outlined it. He had good gestures. You know, I saw him going, you probably can't see me, I'm too close. But anyway, he was my own, and he just did little things with his hands to, you know, to liven it up there. And I like that. His conclusion was, again, he had a good conclusion. He summarized his points that he had made, and he just brought it all home in terms of just that's that framing decision and with family. My suggestion, and John, we always try to have a suggestion, even, you know, for whatever it's worth, would be, it could be fun to have some kind of vocal variety / dialogue in there. So maybe when you could just model, you know, maybe a conversation you've had with a, you know, a family member about the work, you know, well, but you know, you're working all the time. Well, I'm following, you know, just some sort of bit of something like that to add texture, I think could be interesting as well. How those conversations, like one little conversation snippet that would illustrate how that works with your family. Finally, and I don't know how much time, are you doing me 2 to 3, Aaron? What are we doing? Okay, I won't keep talking, you know, you're yellow, so that tells me. You're yellow, you're just yellow, Aaron. Okay, Carmen had the question about money and money balance. Okay, so she right away gets into the Dave Ramsey rules, and we've heard that about that. And her organization was giving us the concepts, the main concepts about that, which was all great. My suggestion to Carmen was she had a little bit of eyes off to the one side or the other, like maybe that was how she was thinking, but it could be better to just be looking in. I'd like to see Carmen smiling a little bit more, particularly, you know, money, it's kind of a serious thing, so maybe we could lighten it up. And I thought she could also put in another, I think a dialogue thing where at some points it's like, you know, she's saying, well, but I really want it. no, 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 you can't have it because you don't have the money for it. You know, some sort of something that pops it a little bit for her. But that's it. Those are my comments. Thank you. Back to the Toastmaster. Yeah. Art, are you signaling in some way? Oh no, you've got your mute on. Sounds like. All right, Art, well, you've got your mute on, but I wasn't sure if you're telling me something or just.
Oh, no, I was just changing character.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure, you know, what you were trying to say there. So, all right. So you're moving with intention. That's very good. All righty. Let me just check since I'm here. Let's just check with our timer in terms of evaluators that qualified.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jean, but you did not qualify. But
Well, no, Aaron, the proper form is you say who has qualified. So the person.
Well, Carmen did qualify, and Jean unfortunately did not qualify.
But now again, Aaron, we just say who qualified. We don't make the person who disqualified feel bad about it.
Carmen qualified.
You know that. You know that.
Carmen qualified.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know. I thought you could take it, Jean. So.
Well, I can take it, but I wanna, you know, role model properly. You have to have you have to have an equilibrium of, you know, dishing it out and still walking the fine line. Okay, very good. So Carmen is our evaluator. Okay, good. So we don't have to vote on that. And with that, Bob, are you ready for me to hand off to you as the general evaluator?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's welcome our general evaluator for the evening, Bob Fogel.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Carmen, since you're the one qualified, your evaluation went as followed. I thought you did really well. What I was impressed by is that you really documented Art's speech. And it was almost like you were just kind of handwriting because you had it so documented. And I remembered everything that you were saying. Of course, Art is a great speaker. And I also like the fact that you had good body movement. And the improvement that I noticed that also from before was that now you are looking at the camera in between. And so that's a great improvement. You look up and because it's hard to read off the paper. And so I really think that was good. And then in addition to that, I don't know if I really have any suggestions per se, other than what Jean might have mentioned, just kind of looking to the right or to the left, which just comes with practice, but I have seen much improvement from the past. So good job, Carmen. Jean, am I supposed to evaluate you even though you, oh never mind.
No, I was a table topics evaluator, so you evaluate me. That's an evaluator. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm just evaluating Carmen and you. That's my position, my role this evening, correct?
It's your honor and your joy.
Okay. All right. Jean, you had a great intro. You did. I like the way you third party it, how you want to say, how you introduce yourself. And that's always a talent. And not everyone can pull it off, but you pull it off quite well. So I was impressed. I really felt that you were really good on your game. And again, you had great hand movement. So when you were speaking about Carmen and how she did and then everything, and then your suggestions, you always bring it up to us to improve, to get that hand movement stuff. And to zoom in. And so that's very impressive. That's what I like about you. And you're also sharp-witted on everything. The one suggestion is that I would wrap up on time. But other than that, we're good. And that's making my work. That's my work.
Well, Bob, now you get to go through all the role players. So if you take it, if I know you probably don't have your agenda there, but you know, now we go through, you know, the timer and the, you know, the grammarian. I mean, we need to have equilibrium here between evaluations and roles.
Okay.
Okay.
What I failed to do is I misunderstood my role as far as I thought I was just supposed to evaluate Jean and Carmen.
No, that's good. And then you also get to call up the role players. And I've got the agenda here. So, you know, our timer is Aaron, and then Dan's our evaluator. I mean, sorry, our grammarian, and then you are our odd counter. So you'll want to call up those three.
So, Mr. Timer, did everyone qualify this evening, or who qualified this evening? I better.
And times.
Yes,
time.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I'll be reading the times for all of our speeches and evaluations tonight. Art speech, 7:28. Carmen's evaluation of art speech was 3:10. For table topics, Bob was 2:26, Rhonda was 2:17, John was 1:54, and Carmen was 2:05. And then Jean's table topics evaluation was 5:38. And that's my report.
Thank you, Mr.
Back
Timer.
to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
And I believe, Dan, aren't you the grammarian for this evening, correct?
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. The word of the day was equilibrium. It got used by a number of people. I heard Aaron use it, Bob used it, John used it, and Jean used it twice. If I missed anybody else, sorry. In terms of phrases that I heard, I was a little challenged getting quotes down. So some of this I'll just be paraphrasing. When Art was speaking, I was struck by the explanation he had where he was talking about observing an infant. He said, "You've seen the process of integration develop before your eyes." And I didn't get any kind of quote at all, but I particularly liked the point where Art was saying sometimes when he can't make his hands move, he just yells at them. Bob, just a kind of a very rough quote, said something like, "I don't know of anyone who doesn't need a chocolate fix now and then."
Yeah.
John, in his talk, said a couple of very notable things. He said, "Any decision I have to make, there has to be four walls to that decision." And it was also notable to me when he said, "I won't end up having a work-life balance if I just let it happen. I have to happen to it." And then when Carmen spoke, she said, "I balance my money by following Dave Ramsey's rules." That's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan, for the grammarian report. Good evening. Looks like I'm the awe counter for this evening, so I will just move forward with that. Start out with Art. Art, you were clean, except for you had 2 repeats. Aaron, you have 1 awe, 1 so, and 3 repeats. Rhonda, you had 1 so. And, oh, excuse me, you had 3 so's and 1 but. John, you had 1 awe, 3 so's, and 1 but. Carmen, you had 1 awe and 2 repeats. And Jean, you had 2 ahs, 1 and 1 well. And I didn't do myself, but I'm sure that I had a couple of ahs or ums in there. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. That's the end of my report. Now we're going to pass it on to
The joke master. We get to have a joke.
You need a joke.
this evening's. Will be me as your joke master.
Yay.
Yay!
And we'll start off with the famous blonde joke. Blonde was bragging about her knowledge at state capitals. She proudly says, "Go ahead, ask me, I know them all." Okay, what's the capital of Wisconsin? That's easy. W. Why did the turkey cross the road twice? To prove he wasn't a chicken.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay. This is for the corona. Because I hate it when I'm about to hug someone really sexy. Then I bump my face on the mirror.
Jeez.
Why is it annoying to eat next to basketball players? Because they dribble all the time.
Oh.
That's the end of my jokes for this evening.
Okay.
Good said.
Those are funny. You want to hand it back to the Toastmaster, Bob, and we'll just move on here.
I will hand it back to the Toastmaster.
Toastmaster. Okay. Sometimes we're creating our structure a little bit on the fly. Thank you. Now we'd like to announce our winners for the evening. Did we got a timing? Yes, Art. Okay, so we have a no contender, but we do have a qualifier in the speech, best speech. And our best speaker tonight was, drum roll please, Art Atkinson.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, he's going big. He's going big, people. I saw it. All right, our best table topics, drum roll. I know, how do you drum roll when you can't, really, exactly, but is John.
Yeah.
John Woodward, yay! Okay. And finally, we had one person who qualified, excellent, well thought out evaluation. Carmen, woo! Woo! Okay. By the way, John, we used to actually give these ribbons. I mean, you know, we would just, you'd get them. So this is our attempt at delivery. All right, and with that, I think we've had a really excellent meeting. Fabulous that Art gave his speech the way he did and worked around the requirements for that intentional speech. And I loved his title even. It was just so descriptive and you know, typical Art. So with that, I will go ahead and hand it back to our president, Aaron Russell.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, Toastmasters, honored guests and viewers at home, thank you all for another spectacular meeting. First, I'd like to hear from our two guests that we have. John, I'd like to start off with you. Could you just maybe tell us what you thought about tonight's meeting? Just something real quick that stuck out with you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I don't know if I'm saying this all correctly, but thank you so much. If you're the master Toastmaster, or how I refer to you as, but what stuck out to me the most is Art's speech. I'm gonna be very frank with you. I came into the room tonight not having any idea what to expect, and just from doing what I do, and I actually sat through 6 hours worth of presentations today at my job listening to people present. And to be quite frank, the last thing I actually felt like doing was getting on another call, another Zoom meeting. But I was actually, I'm going to confess that I was texting my wife during Art's speech, and I said, this guy's actually inspiring me right now. And it's pretty incredible to see what you're doing, and you're not allowing some challenges to define you or to push you aside. And that's incredible to me. So worth the entire evening just to jump on here, Art. So I truly thank you for that. You very much inspiring me tonight. So thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Yeah, Art has been a member of our Toastmasters Club for a very long time. So I think Art is a testament to what kind of an impact Toastmasters can have to someone's speaking ability.
Communication is everything.
Rhonda, would you also, I guess, could really briefly introduce yourself for those of us who don't know you, and also talk about maybe something that stuck out to you tonight, especially as a previous member?
Well, as a previous fellow Toastmasters viewers at home, and what ladies and gentlemen, I found that Toastmasters is a refreshing way for people to communicate. Tonight, it reminded me how great it is when there's order and organization and a common goal to communicate clearly with each other, and the things that we will put up with in order to do that. So I know my sound is not good. If I talk too fast, tell me and I'll slow down. It was good to see familiar faces, Jean, Dan, and Art. And I very much admire anyone who is involved in Toastmasters, because it is an effort and it's a great way for self-improvement to happen and for a better life. It does make a difference. So I am happy you let me drop in. Thank you.
Rhonda, just so you know it, your sound is better when you move yourself closer to your computer screen.
Thank you, Art.
Yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Rhonda, for visiting us again and giving us some feedback. We appreciate that. I also, before we close, I have a couple announcements. I don't know, this announcement was just made. I don't know if anyone else has even had the chance to see it. Jean's nodding her head, so I'm sure she knows what I'm going to say. The hybrid District 19 huddle has been changed to an entirely virtual huddle. So there will be no in-person huddle anymore, and it's free. So there's really, in my opinion, no reason to not attend unless you have a legitimate conflict, because there's no cost to attend. It will be all virtual. And if anyone by chance did spend money on the huddle to visit it, they will refund your money. So did other people see that email besides Jean and myself? I can forward it to the club.
I didn't open it and read it.
Okay.
Just saw the title about the huddle and I knew for sure what was happening.
Yeah, so it's been changed to all virtual, and it's this Saturday from 8:30 to 5. I think you can kind of drop in at your leisure as you have time, from my understanding. And there'll be webinars and conferences throughout the day, and just the chance to communicate and network with other Toastmasters. I always enjoy doing district events just because you meet the best of the best there, and you meet the most involved people. Some really great people there, especially our district leadership. Also, I believe that Toastmasters is wanting people to do officer training starting in November. So I haven't seen any communication from the District 19 leadership yet on it, but just keep it in the back of your mind for officers. But I believe anyone is able to attend, but especially for officers, just be aware that officer training will probably be sent out sometime in the next couple weeks. and there'll be multiple chances to attend, just like last time. And I'm sure it'll be all virtual, just like it was before, but we'll see. Does anyone have any other announcements? Yeah, Jean.
Just a quick note that I am ready and willing to accept speeches for the upcoming rest of October and into November. Dan is not going to be able to do his speech next week, given the health thing that he's dealing with, but you know, it'll just be later. So I do have an opening next week, and then we're into November. And congratulations to everyone who did their one speech every 2 months, because we had that happen. But now we're getting ready. In November, we'll be starting our next round of 2 months, and everyone is ready to sign up and needs to sign up for, you know, a speech. And I'll just mention, John, I know you probably have a lot of questions of Bob, and Bob can give you some more information, but the speeches are not random. I think you got the idea that there's a educational path. People select based on their own based on criteria. There's 11 different paths that people can you know, select, and then there's increasing levels of complexity and involvement, and so everyone's, you know, somewhere in their path working through it. And so it's just, we all try to stay motivated and accountable to each other and to ourselves by committing to doing our projects and, you know, in a timely way. So that's just what that is. Okay. And Bob, you're the, you know, you'll be able to tell John more about it. I'm the vice president. John, I'm the vice president of education. So it's not just because I'm talkative and bossy or per se, but maybe that has a little something to do with it. No, but it's my job. It's my job to help members connect with the educational program. So, and that's it. Thank you, Aaron.
All right. Well, if there are no other announcements, with that, I would like to close tonight's meeting officially. 9:01. That's
All right,
perfect. That's a good time for us. So
okay.
thank you all very much for another successful meeting, and we will see you next week.
Yes.